Can you guys all hear me now?
No.
Can you talk and turn it up a little bit louder?
It's echoing. It's not correct.
Can you turn it up a little bit more?
It's not loud.
Hello?
Wade, it's static on the line.
Yeah, it's not loud.
Hello?
This is a matter.
That's this one. Test the other microphones.
No, I think.
Testing. That's a little better. That's a little better. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Can everybody hear in the back? No. No. Check that one. Testing.
Nope, that was low.
Hello?
Better, there's a lot of static on
Not the
both
volume per
lines.
se.
So I apologize because this should have been tested, and we shouldn't be standing here. But moving past that, I'll try to be as vocal as I can on this. So we'll start by calling to order tonight the special meeting. It's a little confusing tonight because we're doing a special meeting and an annual meeting. So we're going to begin with the special meeting, which will be to conduct and close the business of the prior meeting and the business that was taking place before the new directors. So the first order of business tonight is called to order and introduction. So I'll officially call the meeting to order tonight for Monday, April 16th, and it is now actually 7:46. We'll go around with introductions, and the first one would be a new introduction. We'll start at the management with the new facilities manager. Bruce.
How you doing? My name is
Stand up,
Bruce.
please.
I apologize, you guys are going to need to stand up and speak really loud until we get the PA.
I just wanted to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to work for the Galaxy. I hope to do a great job. We definitely have a plan, and we hope we engage with it. Okay? Bruce McGowan.
McGowan?
Logano.
What do you do? Bruce McGowan in the facilities manager.
Facilities manager.
Oh, well, you say that.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. With the PA, let's like one at a time. Bruce McGowan is the new facilities manager, a new hire. He joined us a week ago, this past Monday. So he'll be around. I'm sorry, go ahead. Robert.
Good evening, my name is Robert Shakes, Operation Manager with Plan Lifestyle Services.
Hi everybody, my name is Flavia Vasquez. I'm the administrative assistant here. And I send out all of your notices.
Good evening. Dorothy Walter, General Manager.
Arnold Calabrese, the election coordinator. Richard Vasquez, Director Tower 3.
Director Tower 2.
Wade Wesson, Tower 3.
Michael Cricco, Tower 2.
Richard Miller, Director, Tower 1.
Christopher Rodson, Project Coordinator.
I didn't hear the last one.
Project Coordinator, Christopher Rodson.
So the next order of business tonight is approval of the open minutes for the meeting for March the 15th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
You got that? So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the open minutes for the March meeting, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. The open meeting minutes are approved. Next are the no, that static is even worse. I can yell louder than that. Sorry, but that's Is that better? No.
Nick, excuse me 1 second, when Dorothy and a few people got up there, we heard feedback here. Is there a speaker back by you?
No. I think it's just feedback. I think we need to buy new mics, honestly, and a new PA system. But, so, the next remarks are the president's remarks, and this is my last meeting as president. I just want to thank you guys. It's a huge responsibility. It's a rocky road, but I appreciate it, and thank you guys. And moving forward, we can do good things together, and we're still going to work together moving forward. And we'll try to do a better job every time. And that's all I really have to say. The next item on the agenda is 4.0, which is unfinished business. The only item we have tonight for unfinished business is the retainer for the agreement, or Mr. Calabrese merged with another firm. So the balance of the election for the election coordinator has to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, needs to go through the new firm. So all we're really discussing tonight is affirmation of the merger of New Release. So if you wanted to say something real quick.
Sure. My office on March 1st merged with the law firm of Becker and Polyakov, which is a firm that's multi-state. They're in New York, New Jersey, DC, and in Florida. They do concentrate on community association representation and construction litigation with regard to transitions in community associations as well. As a result, because of that merger, the firm needs to have a retainer that says that that firm is the one being retained by the Galaxy, as opposed to my prior office and law offices of all J. Calabrese. All the prices, hourly rates, and terms are the same. It's just the transition between one firm to the other. So it's a bit of a formality, and I appreciate the board's consideration in that regard.
And we asked our honor tonight before we took the vote, just in case any of the directors had any questions or concerns before we take the vote.
Sure.
There seems to be no discussion, so all is in favor of approval of the retainer agreement, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous, it's passed.
How much does that cost?
We'll look at that, it's open to all owners, but this is not back and forth. We can go through it.
When you vote on
The retainer doesn't cost anything. If you ask what the final bill is, we can go through that, and we can ask for it.
Is
I
this
don't
from
have the
the
final
election?
number, but there's no, this change of the retainer, there's no
Is
cost.
this from the election?
This is the election coordinator. Yeah. So, this is only to approve the switch of the retainer, because there was no cost associated in that transaction. So actually, now we're going to take a brief recess. When we come back, we'll take 10 minutes. When we come back, we're going to adjourn for the annual meeting. At that time, I will, while we're in recess, I'll assess and I'll determine whether we have a quorum here, the homeowners. If not, we will reconvene the special meeting and go back to seating the new directors and on with the business at hand. So, right, we're going to take a 10-minute recess.
Do we have to take a break? You still here?
As stated in the agenda. Hello, is that better?
That's zero.
Nada.
Is this one better?
No.
How's this? Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that, because I can do that too. Okay, so at this time I'll call to order the annual meeting, and we have established that we don't have a quorum, so we won't convene the annual meeting. We will make a future announcement, the date to be determined for the annual meeting. That being said, I'll read the notice of the annual meeting. Notice is hereby given to members of the Galaxy Association Towers Condominium Association that the annual homeowners meeting is to be held October 16th at 7:30 p.m. in Spa Lounge Galaxy Condominium, located at 7002 Boulevard East, Guttenberg, New Jersey. The purpose of the meeting is to announce the results of the special meeting of the association for the election of directors held March 28th to seat new directors and to conduct such business as may come before the meeting.
It's
So-
April 16th, not October 16th. You said October 16th.
So, that being said, Mr. Calabrese will announce the results of the election.
Sure. Well, I want to say that the overall election, I think, went very well. It was a smooth process through the night. Everybody in your community, I think, was very cooperative. And in the end, when we had to count the votes, it was a very long night, and your election representatives for the various candidates were very patient with us. But in the end, we were able to conduct the vote, and we certified to the election results with the 3 directors that were elected, being Michael Baruch with 314 votes, Nancy Kukuza with 302 votes, and Judy Freimer with 320 votes. The other directors, Richard De La Fuente had 231 votes, Alex Lowy had 196 votes, and Justin Mack had 218 votes. So I provided the certification as of 1:20 a.m. that night, signed over and provided to management for the association's records. I do currently hold all of the ballots and the tally sheets and sign-in sheets, and we'll wait for direction from the board on how we're going to handle that transition. Under the current rules, all of the material, once I issue my final report, is to be turned over to the association's managing agent, and so we're going to put together that report and wait for the board's direction on what to do. With that, that's my report.
Great. So, and the only other business under that would be to seat the new directors, so I would welcome Nancy, Judy, and Michael to join us at the front table. As the new directors. So, that being said, we're adjourning for the annual meeting. We're going to reconvene the special meeting, which is the first order of business. So the first order of business to reconvene the special meeting. And the first order of business is the election of the new board officers. That being said, the first officer to be elected is always the president. So we will now open the floor for nominations for the president of the board. Are there any nominations for president? The nomination is made for Richard Vasquez to be the president of the board. Are there any other nominations? With no other nominations, we'll take the vote. All those for Richard Vasquez, please raise your hand and say aye. 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 Abstain? 3 abstentions. Richard Vasquez is now the president of the Galaxy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wade. And Wade, thank you for your contribution.
You have to speak up.
That mic's not working, so you just got to talk really loud.
Okay, I'll talk loud.
Good.
Anyway, the next position open for nominations is the vice president. Any nominations for vice president?
I nominate Wade as vice president.
Any other nominations for vice president?
I nominate Michael Brook to be the vice president.
I turn down the nomination.
Any other nominations? Those in favor of Wade for vice president, raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye. Those? Any other? We have 5?
I said
We have 5.
Abstain?
Okay, Wade.
Ask for abstentions.
Abstentions?
Oh, sorry. You don't have to say this.
Wade is now the vice president. Okay. Next position is secretary. Nominations open for secretary.
Nominate Judy Freimer.
Okay. Vote for any other nominations? Okay. The vote is now for secretary. All those in favor, raise your hands. Say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Judy is now the secretary.
Judy. There you go.
Vote now for treasurer.
Speak up, please.
I nominate Joe Purcell for treasurer.
I second the nomination.
Any others? Those in favor? Aye.
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 Would you
Okay.
vote for treasurer? I can be here.
Joe.
Okay, Joe Purcell
All
for
right, we
treasurer.
got it.
Okay? Okay, the motion carried.
Aye, abstentions?
Abstentions?
Abstention.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 abstentions. Motion carries.
Justin.
Okay.
Okay, so will the new officers stand, please? Judy? Yeah, Wade?
Joe.
Judy?
Joe.
Joe?
Joe.
Judy's not here. Okay, with that being done, let's move to the manager's report. Dorothy?
That mic is really bad.
You can't use this mic.
That mic is really bad. You're gonna have to talk loud because that's horrible.
Okay, you want to try this?
It's really bad. I do. Yeah, I do want you to do.
I apologize for technical difficulties. Good evening, Mr. President, directors of the board, and Galaxy community.
Microphone.
Try to.
Good evening, Mr. President.
No,
You can't even understand that.
we can hear you well if you speak louder.
Okay.
Just.
You want to come over here and
Yeah, let me come over here.
Yes.
You know already for 10 days at least that you have this meeting, and all of you are incapable to bring here and have a proper microphones and to pay enough money to have a real presentation.
Go ahead, Dorothy.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to present 2018 annual presentation for you. I would like to start with GTCA organizational chart. We actually had a chance to introduce some of our management teams, but just to reiterate, Nicholas Schafferly, it's a resident ops manager. He's responsible for pool operations, and currently he's also overseeing front desk and concierge. Security account manager, Sharon Wyatt, she's in the back, she's not here. It's my pleasure to introduce Bruce Pagano, who has been already introduced. He's in charge of the maintenance team, IUS, as well as purchasing and housekeeping. We have a position open for communications coordinator, and actually further restructuring of the office and management will be discussed at a later time. Chris Rosen is our new project coordinator and has been communicating with most of you regarding many different projects. Flavia was also introduced. Dana could not be here today. She's our risk administrator. And accounting team, Cipolla Accounting, Mache is in the back. Marissa is back from maternity leave. And most of you have been already speaking with her. So next slide. So Galaxy service providers for service residential management, Cipolla Accounting, plant companies from services and janitorial, Ala Universal Security Services, Greenback Smith and Rowe Legal Services, and USI Insurance, who's also known as formerly as Wells Fargo, is your current insurance broker. I would like to start off by providing you with good news regarding your budget reduction and what we were able to do to find some cost savings opportunities. As you can see, I mean, you all know the numbers for the budget reaction from 2013 to 2018 and the surplus that we had. Most savings we actually can see in accounting department, annual contract, savings of 88,000. Electricity reduction, we were able to save over 181,000 the past 12 months. and that can be contributed to LED retrofit, which I will be speaking about on the next slide, as well as your new boilers. Gas reduction, we had a slight decrease as well. Sewer reduction, we were able to save over 190,000, and water over 65,000 for the total of $532,191. So part of your hallway renovation was actually LED retrofit. Hallway ceiling lights, lobby lights, and wall sconces were replaced with new LED lights. That enable us to see an annual saving on approximately $30,000. As you know, we have recently also completed spa hallway and spa lounge retrofit. That saving will actually be visible next year, but we predict that we're going to be saving about $1,700 on the very few lights that we replace. Major saving can be seen in indoor pool lights, which we plan to replace when the indoor pool is closed for cleaning later on this season. By replacing 30 existing light bulbs, we will be able to save over $2,000 a year. So those are the major savings. How we were able to save the money? Well, number one is strategic competitive bidding and contract negotiation. We very carefully review credentials and finding the vendors that are basically able to provide us with the highest services and the lowest ticket price for various services and construction-related services. We have been able to reduce some insurance premiums. That's about $28,000, which I'm going to be speaking about later on also. Reduce electricity contract rates. First Service has a vendor program between different vendors. We've been actually able to contact a few of them, and as of now, we're receiving about 25% discount from Sherwin-Williams, which translates to a lot of money because we have a lot of painting to do throughout the community. And we've also contacted Mannington Commercial Carpets, and we are giving about 15% discount for the new carpets that we're now installing in post-flood renovations. A very important item is inventory control. We've implemented YARDI inventory system. We actually log every single part that we buy now, and we're trying to match this up with every single work order that comes through the office. And the new system, Building Link, is actually helping us to do that. I would like to encourage all residents to use it to report any work-related work orders. So anything that you need from iOS, anything that you want to report, I encourage you to do this online. We received a great response so far, but it helps us actually to see how many work orders we receive daily, how long they stay open, and what has been done to close them. It also allows us to determine what kind of emergency we encounter every single day. For instance, as you know, leaks are probably the most common. But by reviewing those reports weekly, we're able to see if the problem is isolated to one tower, one riser, or specific location, which allows us basically to be a little bit more proactive and take other steps that would help us to rectify the issue. We have signed a new laundry service contract. We received $50,000 signing bonus from the company, and they're paying us about $48,000 more in annual revenue. So that's a nice income for the community. As per old contracts, we were collecting about $192,000 as opposed to $240,000 on the new contract. Also, we were able to sign the new annual maintenance contracts for boilers and the cooling tower with 50% discounts. So not only preventive maintenance is being done, but we also receive better rates and paying less for the services that you require. Okay. URI, your insurance broker, was actually able to provide us with additional $25 million in property coverage at no extra cost. We were able to save about $20 $28,000 on property and liability coverage costs, and they've been really very helpful and help us to create a true risk management team and allow us to get management and control of all the claims that are being handled. Last year, basically every single claim went through your brokers and insurance company. You had over 987 claims open, which was very derogatory information, and it was a very difficult for us to obtain really great rates for the community. We've changed that. We basically are reviewing every single claim, and as you know, only part of those GTCA is responsible for. There are a number of leaks that are caused by leaking toilets or faucets that are unit owner's responsibility, so we're basically trying to determine the ownership of the costs and the problems that occur and manage them accordingly. But we have taken some serious steps to rectify your record, basically. Okay. So what else? New insurance broker is helping us. Well, they basically providing us with the tools only a large company is able to, and they're a fourth largest insurance broker in the United States. So what do we get without any additional cost? That's part actually of what we pay them, which is even a little bit less than we would pay your previous broker. Basically, they have provided us unlimited access to their engineer. And why is that important? It was very critical because when the time came to renew your insurance, we had your carriers walk in the building trying to find every single deficiencies, and URI engineer actually basically help us to determine, to help us with addressing some of those, but also justifying why the different priorities for different projects and different urgencies. So that was extremely helpful. According to the new system, which Dania is working with, all certificates of insurance, not just for the vendors working for the association, but also your certificates of insurance are for your vendors, are reviewed by the broker and actually logged in. So that way, if something happens down the road 5-10 years from now, we will be able to get access, pull that insurance, or if a problem occurs while during the progress of the project, we'll be able to go after the contractor. Electronic reporting and document tracking, it's extremely important. We have digitalized all records now. We're going to be putting more and more information on building link in the library, but also we have a tracking system that we were provided by your insurance broker, which is very helpful. For instance, we're tracking insurance for all the unit owners. So your bylaws do not require you to have insurance, but it's a good practice, and in light of all the leaks and also all the leases, rentals that we have, it's actually very helpful for us to see, because if there's an accident, we know who's got insurance and how to connect you and who you should speak with regarding the loss that you have. So risk management is evolving, but has been extremely helpful. Employee safety program and training. That's also something new that your insurance broker is helping us. Basically, they have allowed us access to summit trainings. It's a free program for their clients. I have been able to sign up your maintenance for all the necessary OSHA training. And also we're going to be proceeding with other training as well as electrical, plumbing, and anything related to their work. We're also going to be assigning office staff to other various training, like HR or administration, anything that can be helpful and a good tool for the staff to succeed.
Can we ask a question?
Not yet.
Yes.
At the end of the meeting, there's going to be an owner's comments portion after we adjourn, and this is going to be the first time an annual meeting in many years where there's going to be interface between the owners and the directors.
Thank you.
So we want to start that on a good footing. Plus, there's going to be an opportunities for the directors to address the owners and say something to all of you, because It is our view that we work for you, okay? And
Thank you.
the issues that you have will be addressed. Sorry.
So FM Global is actually a company that your brokers, that your broker and your insurance companies work with. It's part of the package. And what they are doing for us, they basically help us to create different safety protocols, which I'm going to be speaking about. They provide engineering plans review. So yes, you do have your engineers, but at absolutely no cost, we can actually send any specs we have for them, for their engineers to review. They know the building, they walk the building. As a matter of fact, they were here last week also they come to the building about every 3 or 4 months. So they have every single information as far as location of your valves, how many valves, where your fire suppression system, they all have that. So they've been really helpful with this. They help us with equipment labeling, and I'm going to talk about this, how critical and helpful that is. Paperwork documentation and reporting, and different forms and safety manuals. So, for example, what we were able to do is, and actually when I met with Al, the fire inspector, he was very happy about this. A lot of buildings, you actually didn't practice this before, but many high-rises have a crop of controls and information as far as every single valve, where every single valve is located, about your fire suppression system. And every valve, for instance, when you see the red tag on your right-hand side, every single valve now in your building is basically labeled, which means if we have leak in certain section of the building, we can see what work was done. This information is recorded, and it's recorded electronically also by FM Global. So that really helps us to determine if the work was done, because they're going to also follow up with our maintenance team just to make sure if something is open, if something was addressed right, correctly or not. Hot work permit, it's basically any welding that is done in the building that needs also to be reported. And different municipalities have to be notified of different work that is taking place. So for instance, fire department. So that really allow us to keep track of everything and making you compliant, and also ensure that everybody is notified and on the same page, and there are no liabilities as far as association is concerned. So what have you worked for as far as resident services? Because I know that you can walk the building, and you know we've been talking about the new boilers, hallways, lobbies, and you can actually see most of the projects that have been completed so far. But what we were working behind the scenes is something that you haven't had the chance to see, but you're going to see, because a lot of this information will be actually posted in a building link library and communicated with the unit owners. So first of all, emergency evacuation plan. It's a very comprehensive binder of different procedures that the staff is required, and steps that the staff is required to take. It was a labor of really quite a few months. We've worked with your insurance company, we work with the fire department, and we're just waiting for the final approval from the Gothenburg Fire Department to be able to release this to you. Disaster preparedness. We've spent a few months working with Homeland Security, GPD, Town of Gothenburg, and I'm really happy to say that you're going to be the first building that is going to be prepared for any major disaster. We're working with nearby hospitals, so in case of a major disaster, we're going to have a very comprehensive plan on how to, when to, and how to proceed with different evacuation. Unfortunately, we live in times that are very uncertain, and we should be prepared for that. Monthly fire drills. I know that many of you have been asking about those. Those will be implemented. We actually just updated all the information about your systems, and your insurance company has helped us with that. And this actually monthly fire drills were already discussed with the fire department. So within the next, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to be releasing a schedule. Leak protocols. We have a lot of leaks, and the staff has been doing the best that they could to basically address them. and sometimes they didn't know what to do. We have to make sure that every work and everything that we do is code compliant and also done in accordance with your bylaws, insurance requirements, so on and so forth. So we do have a very comprehensive leak report that was created for your staff, and First Service actually helped with that, with different forms, with protocols. This was also approved by environmental consultants. And now Bruce, since Bruce is on board, he will be helping us to fully enforce that. So that way, maintenance staff will know if there is a small leak, what to do, if there is a major flood, what to do, how to take proper steps, what to do to address it much quicker, it becomes worse situation than it was. We've also spent a lot of time putting together preventive maintenance protocols and inspection schedules, which unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, you did not have, and that's critical. I mean, every system has to be maintained and there needs to be record of that. And inspection schedules is not just important for the community, but it's also required by different municipalities. So we have a list of what equipment needs to be inspected weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. And we actually have a pretty good communication. Some of those inspections can be done in-house, and some of those inspections actually have to be outsourced to licensed vendors. Okay, so what kind of projects were completed in this past 12 months? Pretty much every single board meeting that we had, we spoke about the boiler replacement. Not only boilers were replaced, there was a lot of additional work done as the work was basically taking place. We've installed new BMS system, which is a great tracking tool, and most likely all the new mechanical systems will also be connected to the BMS system. Maintenance staff has been given new tablets, so they actually are able to monitor what the problem is. We've also installed, for redundancy purposes, which wasn't included in main contracts, we actually included 2 heat exchangers per towers that will actually help us with any hot water interruption. Lobby renovations, hallway renovations. You can all see this. You know that the bike room has been completely redone, and we do have now registration forms and everything is properly labeled. Before, you could not even enter the bike room. We did not. There were tons of bikes that nobody even wanted to come forward and claim. ADA compliant parking. You walk the garage, you know that now we have ADA spaces. Laundry room renovations and the new contract. Hallways by laundry rooms received new tiles. Laundry vents were finally clean. This is a critical item. It was a great safety concern, and I'm extremely happy that this was done. Hallway and lobby vents, new fire dampers were installed. Not only the old one did not work, it was also a huge fire issue and mandated by Gothenburg for us to address. That was all done. As I mentioned before, for the first time ever, all your fire violations were resolved. I'm very proud of that because there was a lot of work that went into that. We have been able to walk the infrastructure and basically investigate and determine urgent items that need to be addressed and hire proper A&E consultants. As of tomorrow, we'll fully be working on the iCloud system for the phones. We finally have been able to eliminate the old system. And something that was very important that you couldn't also see, we were able to upgrade your CO2 tank in the spa, which was not just safety but also a feasibility issue. So pending projects, what do we have going on? Mold plant of waterproofing. Engineering evaluation has been completed. We do have specs for not just mold waterproofing but also copper through-wall flashing on the adjacent walls to the mall. and waterproofing of this mini park skylight. That has been bidded out, and the bids are due on April 19th, and we hope to proceed with this work in the near future. Engineering evaluation and design of the new mechanical systems, rooftop and lower zones, that's still ongoing. Landscaping upgrades, continuation of garage repairs, garage columns and wall painting. And I have to give a lot of credit to Bruce because he's only been with us for 1 week, but he's already put some maintenance stuff to work and started painting. And the next item that is extremely important and we're going to be discussing shortly is new elevator maintenance contract. Pending initiatives. So as I mentioned before, the goal is actually to bring the community to reposition the community and implement new technology that will allow us not only to save the money but also work a lot more efficiently. So for instance, the old Ford system is a big issue because not only it will allow us to save $13,000 a year, but also the system that you have, as you know, it was so antiquated. The last time it went down, it took us almost 2 weeks to get the parts from some old church in Ohio. So that would really allow us to prevent any disruption and emergencies. New technology, BMS systems, tablets, building link and ERD inventory. Employee training is a huge, it's very huge for the community and actually for all the staff. Certificate of insurance verification, which I've mentioned, AIA payment requisitions. Every capital projects, large projects, we require to follow basically the common industry practice and for contractors to provide their invoices on something that is called AIA payment requisitions. And what it is, it's basically very detailed, complex invoice. The contractor is billing percentage for work completed, and we can have a clear picture of how much work was completed, 10%, 15%, 12%, and the breakdown per items. It's a great control tools for us to monitor all the expenditures. Lien waivers, we require lien waivers to be provided at for partial payments and final at the completion on every project. And vendor verification, we do verify all the licenses, permits, and proper certificates of insurance for all vendors working for the association. Okay. Pending and new initiatives, comprehensive property condition assessment study, 5-year capital plan, matrix and data analytics, which will allow the board and management to provide to get much needed data to determine what is needed and how quickly. Enforcement of new protocols and inspection checklists, which I've mentioned, which is critical for operations, and office restructuring, which will be discussed at the later time. Okay. Thank you. That concludes my
Let's move to the next item of the agenda, the new landscaping contract.
So the motion is in the...
Discussion on that?
Make the motion.
The motion to contract landscape maintenance services of Hillsborough, New Jersey to perform the new landscaping upgrades throughout the association for a grand total of $130,000.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah. Maybe if I try to read this way, does that help if I'm looking out a little better? So the motion to contract landscape maintenance services of Hillsborough, New Jersey to perform the new landscaping upgrade throughout the association for a grand total of $130,517.
Who is
Yep.
it? Who is it? The landscaper?
It's landscape maintenance services. These upgrades include new landscaping of the mini park, berm, Berry Road, mall planters, as well as the addition of new organic soil and
Excuse me,
seasonal plants.
after the board
But we
conducts.
can hear.
Oh,
Which is the
It's
company?
Landscaping
the-
Services of Hillsborough, New Jersey.
Okay, I got it. All right. That's fine.
Is that, I think it's worse with this.
yeah.
So it's the landscaping services of Hillsborough.
Thank you.
7 landscaping vendors were invited to bid. We accepted bids from 4. So that's the motion. Is there a second? It has to be seconded.
Second,
The motion was made and seconded.
okay. Take a vote on, discussion on the motion?
Yes, I want to make a substitute motion for D&G Landscaping. At a cost of, I don't have it in front of me, but I want to make a motion for that. The directors are well aware of that. D&G for a total cost of, no, it's $117,755. I'm not saying, I'm making for without that.
Discussion on the motion.
Okay, 132,805.
Any other
Is there
comments?
discussion on that?
Yes.
Okay,
No, somebody has to second that.
I second that motion.
Discussion on the motion?
discussion, yes.
I made the motion, so I,
The second.
I will second.
Can I,
yeah,
I'm
so I
sorry.
should be,
Can
I
I
made the motion.
interject?
So I
Richard,
should
you want to amend the motion, correct?
No, I'm
change
substitute
the-
motion. I'm
Okay.
making a substitute motion,
Okay.
not amending it.
Yeah, I want,
Discussion.
I would like to table the motion since we haven't discussed that. I would like to table the motion.
I second
I
that.
second the motion to table.
Okay, vote to second the motion, to table the motion.
Motion second. Table.
Aye.
We got Joe Purcell on the phone as well. He's going to support tabling.
We can't hear anything.
The motion has been tabled, so we're going to go to the next
Yes.
motion.
But if you cannot hear, it doesn't matter.
The next-
Flavia, did you
It's
get
been
it?
tabled because there are new board members that are not familiar with
We need
the
to
contract. So we're tabling the motion. We're moving on to the
But
next.
That's not right. We discussed it in a working session about a week ago.
You also have to ask for those against and those abstain, not just for.
Those four,
For tabling it?
for table.
Yeah, Joe Purcell as well, on the phone. Yes, Joe's yes.
Yes, I think.
Then you have to ask.
Against,
Against.
And abstentions.
a motion, abstentions,
So the motion carries to table.
carried. Okay, the next item is the decommissioning of oil tanks.
What oil tax? Where?
On the
We're going to have a discussion on that now.
You have to have a motion.
You have to read the motion first.
Do you have the motion?
I make a motion to
So
table.
we have to read the motion and then we'll make the motion.
I'll read it. I'll read it. The motion to award a contract to AIM Tank Services of Wayne, New Jersey to decommission 2 30,000-gallon underground oil tanks for the total cost of $26,630.
That are on our property?
Yes, they are. We'll discuss it in a little while, but they're down on, they're in the north lawn area.
Who seconded?
Is there a second on the motion? If there's no second on the motion.
Motion dies.
If there's no
Second, you have to
second.
second the motion.
I second that motion.
But, yeah.
Okay, discussion on the motion.
I'll move to table.
I
You move to table, seconded. Anybody second? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I
Second.
All
second.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Against,
Abstentions?
abstain.
Opposition?
Against.
Okay.
Now, here.
Okay. Okay, I moved, there's an item on the agenda which is called Director's Remarks. Okay? The reason why we have this item on the table, let me move back. we've been coming to these meetings for a long time. And one of the things that has changed a lot in the Galaxy is the ability of owners to interact with the board and to feel a part of what the Galaxy is about. There was a time when we were a neighborhood, and there was a time when we acted together. And whether we agreed or disagreed, at least we met to disagree and agree. It seems the only time we get together now is during an election, and that is to kill each other. And that has to stop. We have to come together to work together. And the reality is that there's a lot of controversial decisions you got to make as a board member. And those controversial decisions mean that you're going to alienate some people, and some people you're going to get a lot of support from. But that's no reason to hate each other. I didn't want, to be honest with you, to be president of this board. And then I saw, that's true, all of you who know me, I basically work better behind stage. You know, that's good, that's good, I'm glad they're laughing. It's time to laugh, it's time to take things a little lighter, and also to deal with the real issues. And right now, we have issues that we can deal with today. Dorothy did a presentation, these are major, major things that we've done. But the important things, I think right now, that we have to address are the quality of life issues. I mean, it's nice to know that we have all these projects up, but if we get up in the morning and there's no hot water, so what? We have a new boiler, but we have no hot water, right? Something goes wrong in your apartment and you make a call to management, you expect management to get back to you within 24 hours. You raise issues with board members and we tell you, you know, we're going to do something about it, and then it keeps on going. So these are things, by the way, that we all agree about. We all want to do the right thing, you know, but unfortunately, it doesn't get done. So there are things that are happening now and there are things that are happening later. They all are important. So for myself, and everybody should have an opportunity to talk. But the most important thing is that we work together and we put aside all this hatred. I had people who, I went through a pretty tough time on that board. And yet I took the people who I disagreed most with and I put all those differences aside because we have to work together. If we don't work together, we don't show patience, we're never going to make it. The ship's going to go down. We have a mall that's going nowhere. It's not a mall anymore. Malls all over the United States are dying. So let's stop calling it a mall. We got to repurpose it. We have a garage that hasn't been cleaned in 40 years. And there's a $6.5 million long-term liability on that. That's not sustainable. With inflation, with inflationary metrics associated with that growth and debt, we're talking about a long-term liability of maybe $6.5 to $8 million. Is that sustainable? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think so. So the short view is not enough. We have to have a strategic plan. And there are people in this board who ran on that, and there are people on this board who maybe didn't run on it, that are on the board that believe in a future of the Galaxy and want that, want a strategic plan so that we don't have our heads in like ostriches in the sand. And we need business decisions, decisions that are based on data, on metrics and analytics. Basically, we need report cards. Okay? You can't say something is good and not say, we have how many work orders that are done. But how many of them are done within 24 hours? How many are done within 48 hours? Can anybody tell us no? No, wait a minute. I'm not talking personality now. I'm talking about the issues.
Yeah.
Now,
So why don't we know?
Wait. Give us a chance to work together. Give us a chance to work together. And working together, the first priority is your quality of life. And that's why we're dealing with metrics and analytics. So that's my 10 cents as the new board president, but I don't think titles are important. What is important is to get the job done. So with that, I make your promise, I'll give it all I got. They will give it all they got, and I'd like to open it up to the board members to say what they have to say. Rich, you want to start? By the way, Rich works his ass off, and he's a very important asset, you know, and, you know, he's a guy who has a sense of history, a sense of strategy. He says what he feels, and whether we agree or don't disagree, he's got my great respect. So, Rich, what do you have to say?
I have nothing to add to your praise of him.
Come on, you got something. You want to say something?
No, I can't.
Come on.
No, I can't.
He's
say
always
any
so
better.
serious, you know. Okay.
We have to
Judy.
Okay, first of all, thank you to all those who supported me in this long election. I was happy to see many owners coming to the meet and greet events of both teams, and owners emailing questions to candidates. No matter who is running, when interested, well-informed owners vote, everybody wins. Now we have an opportunity to get the Galaxy unified with one goal only, to improve our home. As I begin, I ask one thing of every owner. If you have a question, a doubt, a concern, email us. You have the emails of management and board members. Use them. Facts bring strength. Rumors bring destruction. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge the people that lost the election. They gave up their time, they gave their effort, they were honest, they were hardworking, and they gave it their best. I think the new board, I'm excited with the new board. We have some intelligent people here that will look out for the best interest of all the residents. And I think that management, I've always been impressed with. They work ridiculously hard, intelligently hard as well. So I think that our future is in a better position today than it was yesterday. So I just wish that everyone is a little bit more patient. It'd be nice if we could go through meetings without people calling out, you know you are. And we work together. You give your ideas to the people that are in your buildings that represent you, and they can put them forward, and collectively we can all go forward and on. Thank you.
Michael?
First, just like Michael, I want to thank my predecessor directors.
Can't hear you. Now just talk a little louder.
That's going to be one of our major priorities, to get a mic that works.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I talk like my mother-in-law.
Oh, crap.
Right?
Yeah.
Because she will get up and talk to everybody.
True.
I want to thank my predecessors for the work that they put in over the past 3 years. Everybody here was a participant in the election. Many of you elected me and the other two candidates to become your new director. It's really difficult to make decisions. It's tough to make everybody happy. But I can tell you from history that when I started here at the Galaxy, I was a one person out of the other 9, out of the other 8, who worked really hard to try and get his points across. And that's what I want to do over here. I'm receptive. You can pick up the phone and call me. You can meet with me. You can talk to me. Okay? I will help make this the best place. I'll make sure that the work that is done is of the highest quality, and make sure that's done for all of us to make this a better place to live. At the outcome of the vote, we all have to work together now. It was tough to make decisions who are the officers over here on the board of directors. Some people were happy, some people were not happy. But I know that from sitting with these directors at a previous meeting, we all want to work together. And I certainly will make sure of that over here at the Galaxy. Thank you.
Like everybody else before me, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everybody. Judith, I missed you. I want to thank everybody for supporting us and helping us with our vote. Like Richard was saying earlier, we are going to make some decisions that not everybody's going to be happy with. We're going to make some decisions that that you will be, but just keep in mind that we're all wanting to head in the same direction. We all have an interest here, and we all want a safer, better place, and we want to be proud of our community. And we're just made to take different paths to get there. And what you have to say is important to us, and we're here to listen to what you have to say. Just be willing to work with us. And again, you're not always going to be happy, but just keep in mind that you are important, and what you want is important to us.
First, I want to thank the owners who very significantly, through their board, have expressed their trust and confidence in 3 people who have been elected to the board. Second, I want to thank Judy, Michael, and Nancy, all of whom ran an effective campaign. They put a lot of energy into their efforts this past month and exhibited a desire to work closely with the current board members while representing the interests of all the Galaxy residents. Personally, as I enter my 6th year on the board, I hope that our new president, Richard, this is my expectation from you, that you work with the board members to make the changes that residents ask for. We should start with reviewing and revising certain policies and regulations made recently that as a result has made life for our residents more difficult instead of an enjoyable experience. I hope we enhance transparency, open communications between owners and the board members, make sure any contracts are reviewed entirely and carefully by our attorney and the board members before getting signed, improve services and communications with management. A lot has been accomplished in last few years, and much more needs to be done. This new board is dedicated to the goal of returning our home to the greatness it once had. Thank you and congratulations to our new members and officers.
Thank you guys, Judy, Michael, and Nancy, because it is a big commitment. And I'll honestly say it's much more than I thought when I took it on. It's an important endeavor to take on. I trust and I see from all you guys that you take the sincerity and the commitment that is required of the job. And again, thank you as a community and as the board. We did start something this year, and I firmly believe in the building link system, because for me, I was taken aback when I started the board at the antiquated system of accountability at the Galaxy. So for me, the integration of technology also equals accountability, meaning that it's not a discussion of when it was done, it's a viable record of when that was entered and the course of action, the corrective action that was taken in order to, and the speed at which that was done to correct it. So getting those things online so that it's not a discussion about when it was said or when it was done. It's a law, it's a record, it was accounted for. And that being said, we should hold management accountable for the response time and getting back and the action and having a record to be accountable. So I would be, again, I thank you guys for doing it. It's a lot of work. And I would continue to push that we bring the Galaxy into technology and hold accountable the people who are supposed to perform for us and have a viable record and hold them accountable. And that's what I will continue to try to do. And again, I appreciate you guys' vote of confidence in letting me stay around. I'll make the motion to adjourn.
No, excuse me, I have something on the.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to make a motion, and it is, except in the case of an emergency, or when specifically overridden by a majority vote of the board, no matter shall be voted on in the open or closed session meetings of the board unless fully presented to the board for consideration at least 2 weeks in advance of the vote.
I second.
I'd like to speak.
Good discussion on your.
I think this is very critical because we've been having a lot of votes. We've been handling a lot of things, a lot of votes. We get information the last minute, and specifically the decommissioning of the oil tanks tonight. We can always vote to override the new rule. So I just think it's vitally necessary. This way, you know, sometimes if you're pressed for a decision right away, and then you think about it a few days, and you do a little research, you may come to a different conclusion. So I hope the board will approve that. Especially it gives time to the new directors to get up to speed.
Right?
Yes, and I think it's a good idea, but I think 2 weeks is a little bit excessive. I think that, you know, like you said, you can come to a different decision overnight. But 2 weeks, I mean, you have, if it's an emergent item, it requires sometimes to pull the trigger a little bit.
So we can override it.
Yeah,
Where
but
overridden.
I think that, you know, if you leave it so that except where overridden, I mean, you can override just about anything if you want to. You know, but I mean, if you want to really get something solid on the ground, I think that maybe you might want to consider 1 week and you know, there are some cases where it is important to get something off the ground. I agree with what you're saying. You know?
Richard, why don't you respond?
I just want to respond quickly. Essentially, it's 2 working sessions before. It would be presented at 1 working session. The board would think about it until the next working session. And if you're going to vote in the open session, that second Monday, it's 3 days later, you have the open session.
You want to repeat that one more time?
So a total amount of time is what?
Well, it's still 2 weeks, but two working sessions usually we'd have to discuss it.
Well, see, so right now what we have is that, you know, something's presented to us. Sometimes you're right, it's presented us the day before. So what you're saying is you want a little bit more time to look at items. I think that a week would be enough, don't you? I mean, 2 weeks?
I'd like to
Well,
wait
we can always change it if it doesn't work.
wait and then so he can then, you know.
I don't see any issue with it, and especially with the stipulation that, you know, the majority of the board decides that we're going to hear it anyway, we can still hear it.
Yeah.
Did I understand that correctly, Richard?
I didn't hear what you said.
If I understand the motion correctly, the board still has if the majority of the board votes to listen to it or entertain it, we're still going to present it here.
I said, or when overridden by
Or
a
overridden by the
majority.
majority of the vote. So if the majority wants to hear it, we can still hear it, so I don't.
And I believe if the management, they come up with some kind of a calendar that which contract is coming up, they have ample time to work on it and provide all the information beforehand, a couple of months ahead of the time, and giving 2 weeks to the board members to look at, to discuss that is not a lot. I think that is the minimum that we need to really respond responsibly review the documents, read that, think about it, discuss it, and then make a decision. I mean, I cannot make any decision on all the documents that they're gonna hand it to me even 24 or 48 hours beforehand, and I don't have a time to read it. I can think about it, I can come up with my questions, and it hasn't been discussed, and then I come up with it. I think this is very irresponsible.
Richard? No, that's it. I think,
So-
I just think it's very important for the board to do this. And again, by majority decision, we can override it, or if the board doesn't think it's workable, we vote again to change it.
Any more discussion? Call the roll. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Those against, on the floor. Okay, the motion carries. Okay. Okay.
And I make motion to adjourn the meeting.
I have a new business item.
Okay.
There were a lot of difficulties during the election
Can you
process.
speak up, please?
There are a lot of difficulties during the election process here at the Galaxy. Okay? And there was a lot of back and forth with the election coordinator, Mr. Calabrese. I know he's going to come up with a final report. But I'd like to make a motion to form a committee to go over those recommendations and bring forward to the board election rules that we can all live by.
I second that while it's still right on the surface, while it's still in everyone's memory, while we still are
We'll second
finishing
it,
up.
then we'll discuss.
Yes.
Okay, motion's been second, discussion on the motion. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Joe's not here. Okay? Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Any second?
I'm Jack.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Now we're going to enjoy